How's it going, guys? So, I want to talk today about unhealthy coping mechanisms. And while I can't name every single one that any person could possibly have, I do know there's a lot of common ones that people usually deal with, such as drinking, smoking, masturbation, gambling, eating, playing video games too damn much. And honestly, that's literally just scratching the surface. Social media, like, there's a lot. And inherently, by itself, there's nothing wrong with using these things to cope with, like, for example, in moderation, taking a smoke every now and then, or getting yourself off, getting a glass or playing a few games just to relax and deal with not being stressed out for a few hours or a few minutes. Like, that's fine. There's nothing wrong with that. But here, the main video is not talking about it being necessarily fine, but it's to talk about people who overindulge in it to the point where we use it and have to rely on it just to get through the day. And I'm not going to be up here preaching that, like, oh, well, you have to do this and that. It's bad for you. You have to go out in nature and go and meditate and hunt bears and roll around in grass and shit. Like, I'm not going to preach to you that, but I am going to give you that old tired ass saying that everybody says all the time, that everything in moderation. And we hear it a lot, but there is a lot of truth behind it. Because again, if we were able to properly moderate what we do for enjoyment to get away from the problems we have in life, then I wouldn't be making this fucking video. Sure, especially if I didn't have it myself. So let's start off by talking about my damn self, because I'm not going to pretend I haven't gone through unhealthy coping mechanisms. I mean, I literally started this channel talking about an unhealthy coping mechanism. An unhealthy coping mechanism that I had, which was the porn and masturbation addiction. And I pretty much used that as an attempt to escape from how lonely I felt and how depressed I felt about not getting any and not experiencing more stuff when I was younger, mostly just sex and talking to girls and relationship issues, blah, 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 blah. And instead of dealing with it in a more positive way, like talking to girls, getting a fucking social life, and actually doing shit, instead I would just sit at home all day, stay in the house, and just jerk off until I felt something again, or felt like I could think clearly again. It's like, oh, now I'm not suddenly sad anymore because I've gotten off freaking 4 or 5 times. Now I can finally get on with my fucking day. And that obviously is not a healthy way to go about it. It became an unhealthy way to cope with the fact that I was just lonely. And instead of actually addressing what I need to do to solve that issue. Now, thankfully, I was able to actually address that and take some steps towards having self-control and start actually talking to girls and shit. So, thankfully, I no longer have to deal with that, but it's not always as easy for everybody. And a lot of us fall into having unhealthy coping mechanisms in general. It's not just porn and masturbation, but it could also be, like I said earlier, like drinking too much, overeating, playing video games for 24 hours a day. And in the beginning, usually when we use these things to cope and deal with life and our stress and shit, usually, like, again, like I said, like for a couple of hours just to get away from shit, to refresh yourself, to get your mind at ease again. Like, it's fucking fine. It's fucking fine to have a drink every now and then. Like, there's nothing wrong with that. It's fine to fucking just jerk off and get it out. Like, there's nothing wrong with that. Like, smoking weed every now and then, if you're able to, not working for the government like me, then I'd say it's fucking fine. Like, it's fine until you get to the point where your mind is too weak or too overwhelmed to end up lacking the self-control to actually be able to not have to rely on it just to live. And that's kind of a vague way to go about it. But at the end of the day, if you are like having to do it just to like feel something again, like how some people talk about, I'm sure we dealt with this at some point in our lives where we've had people talk about like, I need to do this just to feel again. Like, it gets to a point where, okay, now it went from being something that we did just to relax to something that now is unhealthy for us because we have to rely on it just to do things and get shit done. And I'm not gonna pretend like it's not valid, like it's not valid, because in our current social climate and shit, and how fucked up the world is, it's getting easier and easier to just fall into these addictions. Hell, even social media, where we just want to get away from how bullshit life is, how bullshit situations are, and end up relying on that and just doom scrolling for fucking 45 minutes, 2 hours and shit. And once we start overdoing shit, we start becoming addicted to things. And you can become addicted to just about anything, to the point where you just can't live without it. Like, just about anything nowadays can be an addiction. I'm not even going to name everything. And it ends up getting to the point where we can't live normally without it. And normal is entirely subjective. Like, let's just get out of the way. There is no exact normalness. So especially in 2024, when this video came out, this could be me outdated by now, but in general, normal is entirely subjective. Nobody is going to have the exact same way of thinking you do, or the exact same thought process you do, or handle problems the exact same way. So someone's normal isn't your definition of normal, isn't their definition of normal, isn't normal for somebody else after them. Like, this is not a damn like utopia or some shit. People have minds of their own. But at the same time, still think about how there are multiple issues, like how alcoholics or chain smokers have to have that hit or that drink in order to not be stressed out, in order to actually feel something again. Like, at the same time, while normal subjective, requiring yourself to rely on a substance or an action just to feel something again is not necessarily going to be, and we don't have to strive for normalcy. We have to strive for just being able to function. I feel like functionality is the word we should probably use nowadays, since, again, normals, like, people say, don't be weird. It's like, fucking everybody's weird. Who gives a shit anymore? Feels like I'm rambling a bit, so we're going to get back to the main issue, and that's, again, unhealthy coping mechanisms. And usually we're using them because we're escaping from an underlying issue that's bigger than the reason we actually use it. It's like, why are we running away from reality? Why do we need to do this to escape? And again, a lot of times I heard it's because I want to feel something again, because I just want to feel right. And again, it didn't start off that way, but ultimately, what you're doing to get away from your life, to get away from your problems, is going to end up ruining your health. Like, at the end of the day, it's going to resort to you ending up in the habit. And again, for me, it was because I was too lonely. And again, like, I didn't, instead of, actually solve my issues and talking to girls, living a life, having a social life, changing my mindset about sex and how it related to things and comparing with other people, instead of actually doing something, I just sat inside and just jerked off until I think clearly, like I said. But for a lot of people, it's not always as clear cut as seeing those particular issues. Like, say you're constantly overeating, like, sometimes you don't even know why you're doing what you do. Like, sometimes you don't know why you're drinking so much. Sometimes you don't know why you have to smoke just to live. But at the end of the day, though, a lot of us that end up having these unhealthy coping mechanisms may not exactly know why, but we are typically aware that what we're doing is unhealthy. And that's the sad part of it, because we don't know why we keep doing what we do or why we need it so much, aside from just getting away from it all. But we're aware that it's not good for us when we do it too damn much. And because a lot of us already know that's unhealthy, there's not really a cop out for it because at the end of the day, it's bad for you when it's not moderated. That's just plain and simple. But unfortunately, despite that awareness, a lot of people treat it as a lesser of two evils because people would rather deal with the unhealthy consequences of their coping mechanism than deal with the bullshit in their life. And life is hard. Life is bullshit. Sometimes how life's going makes it seem like just being a burden to our health is just going to make shit easier than what's actually going on in life. And I feel that as a person who has been suicidal several times in his life, I'm aware of how enticing it is sometimes to go down an unhealthy route, to do something stupid to yourself constantly instead of actually dealing with and tackling the problems that you have, because it just seems like the fucking lesser of two evils. It seems like the easy way out to just simply do that or deal with your coping mechanisms. Like somebody who get video games for 18 hours, but gets to work late every single day, and it says, I don't need that much sleep. That's fine. What I'm doing is fine. It's like you're using excuses just to excuse for doing shit that's going to ultimately ruin your health. Like you need to sleep. Shit. I know games are fun as far as like I love playing games, but at the same time, it's like, bro. And literally in all of my videos, I want to say this disclaimer just about every time. I don't have an answer to your problems. Like, unfortunately, this video is not going to outright be an answer. And it can't be because I've never been an alcoholic or a smoker or somebody who was used overeating as a way to solve my stress. Like, I have not been in your shoes. So I don't know what you're going through or how you're going to solve it. And life sucks and it's fucking hard. I gotta speak the truth. I'm not going to bullshit you on this. But with that being said, getting to the parts that, of course, nobody wants to hear, you're gonna have to hear it eventually. But even still, you can still take control of yourselves and make it better. Like, you may live with your coping mechanism and let it keep you in the same spot in life, or you can actually take time to address it and address it as an issue and take steps to overcome it and solve the underlying issues as to why you actually keep using that coping mechanism in the first place and what you actually solve it. And again, if only it was fucking that easy to just, oh man, I'm doing this because of this, and so I just gotta stop doing this and bam, I'm good. Like, it's not going to be that easy. Just go like, hey, AB equals C, Pythagorean theorem, whatever. I don't fucking know. It's math. I don't remember that shit. That's fucking middle school. But long story short, fuck Pythagorean theorem. I haven't used that shit since 9th grade. At the end of the day, there is no easy way out. There's no easy answer, usually. Sometimes it is. If it is, hey, good for you. But if it's hard, then what you at least need to do for yourself in general is to go and self-reflect on what's been going on in your life. Why are you dealing with things? What issues are you going through? And how can you solve them? And stop making excuses. Like using social media too much because life sucks. Well, you have to get off it and find out how you're going to take your life back. Like you have to start thinking for yourself and thinking about like, okay, I'm doing this too much. So why am I doing it too much? Because you are aware of the things you're doing like that are unhealthy, even if you don't want to be aware of it. You're completely aware. I've been aware when I was dealing with it for masturbation and porn addiction for a long time that I needed to stop, but I never actually tried to stop. I never had an incentive to do it. Never actually bothered to get myself better from it until I had relationships that it ended up affecting. And while that may not be the ultimate thing that ruined the relationships entirely, it was definitely an aspect that was like, okay, I need to definitely work on and improve if I want to make sure that I am successful in future relationships. And so it's something I worked on. But that's just my story. Like, how I dealt with mine is not going to be how you dealt with yours. But at the same time, if you do not actually self-reflect and take initiative to try to get your life back, to try to not have to rely on this coping mechanism, that you once were able to just, simply do as an enjoyment thing to just de-stress every now and then. Now it's just taking over your whole life and keeping you stuck. Like, we're not going to solve it all the same way, but you're still going to have to take initiative and taking self-reflection. And a lot of my videos are about self-reflecting on why you're going through certain things, why you're going through certain issues, because that's an important skill to have in life. If you're delusional and thinks everything's fine when everything's not fine, then joke's on you. You're just going to be looking stupid when you're suddenly in debt or suddenly homeless, and it's like, oh, I kept saying everything was fine, but it actually wasn't fine. It's like, bro, you gotta be real with yourself. That doesn't mean you have to be a hard ass and take everything super hard in general and be a fucking negative Nancy or a Squidward, or be one of these fake realists that are always negative about shit. But it's like, you're not being realistic, you're just being pessimistic. You have to be able to take initiative, but be able to create positive change in your life. It doesn't have to be all doom and gloom, but taking those first steps may be annoying and mundane, whatever they are. Whether it's you have to stop drinking for a certain amount of time in order to start getting control of your drinking and alcohol addiction, or to actually start working on what's caused you to start relying on alcohol anyway and how you're going to actually get through it. Same thing with smoking and drinking. Not every addiction is going to be the same exact clear-cut, cookie-cutter solution, but you're going to have to look at what's causing you to want to do that in the first place so damn much. Why is your life so stressful? We go through stresses all the time in life. We're fucking adults, especially most of the people who watch my videos are going to be adults, or at least people that are probably going through stress. So you're most likely going to be able to relate as to why you have this unhealthy coping mechanism to save your life that used to be something you should just do to enjoy. Because let me tell you something, if you like masturbating like every once in a while, and shit, this shit's good. But doing it every single day, it just becomes a chore, and it's like, oh, I'm just gonna do it again to get a little buzz off to try to do it. Like drinking every now and then, I've never drinking too much, but it's like drinking on occasion, that's cool. But I can imagine drinking and getting hungover every single night. That probably sucks, because getting hungover sucks. But I'm not gonna get into every single one. I'm just going to say, again, that taking initiative is going to be the first step in order to try to actually get through these issues, because you are most likely aware of what's good and what's bad for you in life when it comes to your health and how to progress, especially when you're feeling stuck. Like, sometimes we have some idea of why we're stuck, and if you don't, then you really do have to do some self-reflecting. This is not even being offensive. This is on being honest to goodness, taking a look at your life, not being delusional, and seeing why you're stuck doing the things you're doing the way you are. And even going back to like the social media coping mechanism, it's like you could literally use social media to make money and make your situation better. Now, to do that, you have to stop watching other people's shit all the time and doom scrolling through a bunch of other people's shit and start making your own stuff on social media that people can follow and whatnot. But that's how you pretty much win, is get a following on social media, start seeing what's popular, and then start trying to make something that's popular, or hell, create your own niche and be creative, since nobody wants to have originality on it. But shit, you could literally make some of your coping mechanisms or your addictions like your own way to start making a niche. I don't know how effective it is for every single one, but hell, it's something to think about if you start self-reflecting on it. And again, none of this is going to necessarily be easy, but if you're watching this video and saw the title, then you're evil. Damn, I can't even fucking talk right now. But you're either able to relate or know somebody who can relate, who has an unhealthy coping mechanism, and literally anything that they do that they're no longer able to moderate and it's detrimental to their mental or physical health, or it's literally just keeping them from getting shit done they need to do, then let this be a wake-up call to start self-reflecting, or for them to self-reflect and think about how they want to control their life. Because like I said in my previous video, like your dreams and your goals are still there. The only one stopping you from achieving them is your own self. And it takes self-reflection and that initiative for change and that dropping of your pride to seek help when it's too much to get that commitment and consistency to keep things going and to start getting your life better and start taking those small steps. And the hardest fucking part is taking that initial step out of your comfort zone, because you get so comfortable in these coping mechanisms that we start just getting complacent and not wanting to leave them and staying stuck in the same spot in life to the point we get miserable. And nobody's saying you can never touch a cigarette or drink or smoke or jerk off or play a video game or eat some unhealthy food again. I mean, I literally just had pizza tonight. That was my one day a week of doing something unhealthy, when pretty much 6 out of 7 days a week I eat healthy. But I'm able to moderate that. Like, one day out of 7 days is not going to hurt when you're on like a diet to work out and body build. Now, if you do that for 5 days out of that, then of course you're probably starting to develop a problem. But that's something that I can personally moderate. Nobody's saying you can't do things in moderation, but when we can't, we end up suffering for it. And personally, me, I'm a little goody two shoes for certain things, so I'm not going to say you got to be boring and live like the way I do and be like, oh, you have to moderate every single thing. Like, some things we just want to do, honestly. And you're a grown ass adult. I can't tell you how to live your life. If you want to do things every day, you can, but you're also aware of what things hurt you and what things don't. So I want you guys to keep that in mind. And I genuinely hope you're able to get something out of this video, this little TED Talk I have. And if I can start working towards getting self-control and getting myself better, then I feel like everybody could at least start. Because I'm not perfect. I'm still going through stuff. Hell, I'm still going through the social media stuff. I just deleted Instagram. Not deleted, but got it off of my phone page because I instinctively will open my phone and my thumb will go like, oh, Instagram's on the second page, to the right of your phone, the very top of the screen. And my thumb will instantly just scroll to that before I even think about like, oh, I need to check my bank account on my phone. Like, my thumb just has this little trigger thumb that I do. So like, that's something I have to work on, because it's like I'll be scrolling for 45 minutes, bent over on my kitchen counter, pause, play, and just be scrolling Instagram. And I'm just like, I need to stop that shit. It's stopping me. I need to like get things done, make dinner, pay bills, take a shower. But no, I'm scrolling Instagram. That's become an unhealthy coping mechanism for me. So I'm still dealing with shit. I've started to work on it and deal with it a lot less after deleting the app off my page. You know, I'm able to actually focus or realize like, hey, I need to do some shit and get shit done. It's not always easy, but it helps. But anyway, that's all to say that I'm still working on it. I'm not perfect with it. I'm still healing from it, but I recognize that's an issue. And recognizing and being self-aware of it is how we can actually see it's an issue and start actually trying to get better with it. But I hope you guys can also start doing the same thing and start healing, start being better for these healthy coping mechanisms to the point where you can start living a more balanced life, especially as you get older. You definitely want to start getting yourself in gear, because life's not going to be an easy street forever. Hell, sometimes life's not easy street at all for some people until they actually make it. It's like either make it or die. But I hope that this video is able to help you out at least somewhat, or at least give you some type of perspective that is going to be positively beneficial to your life. But this has been Trent from No Nut Clarity. Thank you so much for listening. The food was fucking delicious. I had a recipe in the description. And I hope you have a good one. Peace.